I received an email recently in response to the last video I posted, how to make $60,000 a year working 25 hours a week as a musician. If you haven't seen that video already, I suggest watching that first, as this video will make a lot more sense if you do. I'll link to that video in the description field of this video so you can check that out. In my last video, I made the point that I feel like it's actually a lot easier to make money as a musician than a lot of musicians seem to realize. I presented a formula in the video based on my own experience of how most well-rounded musicians could make about $60,000 a year working 25 hours a week through a combination of performing, teaching, licensing their music, and so on. The video prompted a fair amount of commentary, and I received quite a few emails in response to the video as well. Most of it was positive, but there were a few negative comments and emails that I received. One in particular was an email that I received from a musician named David. I'll leave out his last name, but David sent me an email that was fairly scathing. In his email, David said to me, "For you to make the comment that you don't think artists have to struggle that much is naive. It's a reality, and no one struggling wants to struggle. You're lucky," he says. "You play guitar, and your act incorporates a rock swagger." I'm pretty sure he's never seen my act. But he goes on to say there are millions of us who don't play guitar and to whom the word commercial is distasteful and competitively judgmental. I think he means comparatively judgmental. Anyways, he goes on to say, "We want to make the same money everyone else does, but maybe the music we do has nothing to do with trying to please the intellectually challenged American market. You obviously have no empathy for those whose paths are not the same as yours. You shouldn't be so arrogant as to assume that your methods and your advice work for everyone else." I don't think I ever said my methods and advice will work for everyone. Anyways, he goes on to say, "Nor are they the answer to anyone's personal satisfaction. Most artists," David says, "that truly have anything to offer other than commercialism struggle with doing our best when the bar is so low, and anyone with 3 chords and a guitar has a better chance at it than an artist with a different and more learned musical aesthetic. For the millions of students in this world who start out young studying with teachers who introduce the world of brilliance and genius in compositional integrity, you have improperly judged their potential." Okay. He goes on to finish by saying, "I get it. You're all about making money. There are higher planes, my friend, and money or no money, choosing to be an artist is not about how much money one will make. Of course, there are consequences to insisting on purity of ideas and aesthetic expression, but whatever the resulting plight, it's an individual's choice and not your call or right to judge." Again, I don't think I ever judged anyone in the video I made. Anyways, he says, "We are not all poisoned by the pretentious requirements to be as commercial as you are." Wow. Where to start? Well, first of all, a huge thanks to David for writing. Even though David has made a lot of inaccurate assumptions about me and what I stand for and the kind of music I make for that matter, I think David actually brought up some good points, and I'm thankful that he's provided so much content for this video and for giving me a springboard to jump into the really important topic of balancing art and commerce. But first, let me address a couple things David said. I'll start with his statement, I'm, quote, unquote, all about money. This was probably the funniest line to me. I literally laughed out loud and fell to the floor and hit my head when I read that line. Okay, I'm exaggerating a little bit. I didn't actually hit my head. But I'm far from all about making money. If I was all about making money, I would do something other than play music. It's that simple. I would get out of the music business altogether and get into the oil business or the fracking business or however people are making money these days. I get that the music business can be challenging. I understand that very, very well. I've had some pretty rough years as a musician, and despite what David thinks, playing rock music isn't some sort of get-rich-quick scheme, nor is music licensing or running my website or any of the things I do to make money for that matter. Just because I realize and point out the pragmatic importance of making money doesn't mean I'm all about money. Money is really only something you obsess about and make a big deal about when you don't have. It's kind of like sex. Jack Nicholson once said that sex is only a big deal when you're not getting it. And unfortunately, I've had some rough years in that department too. Unfortunately, a lot of musicians do struggle to make money. The need for money is just a part of life and the system you and I were born into. And when you don't have enough money, it can be really, really distracting. And if it remains an issue long enough, it can literally destroy your dreams. There's nothing romantic about being a struggling artist. I've been there, and it sucks. But that was really the point of the video I made, that it doesn't have to be that challenging. I'm not denying that musicians struggle. I'm just saying they don't have to. I think one of the reasons so many musicians do struggle and find it hard is that they don't really have a map of how to make it as a musician. Musicians are often driven by passion and their love of music, and that's beautiful, and it's a large part of what drives me. But the reality is musicians have to eat too. We have bills to pay just like everyone else. Musicians are often waiting for some sort of big break, and they often resign themselves to the idea that they have to struggle while they're waiting for this big break that may or may not ever come at some unknown point in the future. That's crazy. What I was pointing out in the video, and again, go check it out if you haven't already, but I was pointing out that it doesn't have to be that way, and that for most what I'll call well-rounded musicians, there are ways to make a good living now while they're pursuing their goals. I think the reason the struggling artist stereotype exists in the first place is that so many artists are idealistic, and they take a sort of all-or-nothing approach to music. Many musicians have a dream of making it big in the music business, and they tether themselves to this dream really, really tightly, and they never let go. And a few do make it big in the music business, but the reality is most don't. And I'm not being pessimistic by saying this. I'm just pointing out the reality. It's the same as saying that 1% of the population has most of the wealth. It's not negative to say this. It's just the way it is. I mean, there are negative connotations to that reality, but pointing it out doesn't make you negative. I'm all for making your dreams come true and overcoming the odds and all that. I really am. And I'm not saying you should give up your dreams. Please don't, ever. You need those dreams, and you need that passion to keep going. But you also need a way to make money too, now. What I'm saying is that there's a smarter approach than taking this all-or-nothing approach to making it big in the music business. I'm not talking about a backup plan or a plan B. I'm talking about a plan to succeed in the music business as a musician that's not so vague and uncertain and filled with struggle and all the things so many musicians experience that contribute to the idea of the quote-unquote struggling artist. David, who wrote me, said, "There are higher planes, my friend, and money or no money, choosing to be an artist is not about how much money one will make." But yet, in another part of the same email, he says, "We all want to make the same money everyone else does." So David is saying two contradictory things. On one hand, he's saying that being an artist is not about how much money we make, but on the other hand, he's saying we want to make the same money everyone else does. And even though these statements are contradictory and sort of confusing, I understand what he's getting at, or at least I think I do. We would all like to not have to worry about money and just be a slave to our muse and inspiration and focus on higher things, like David says. We all want to have money and not worry about money, but yet we all need it. And when we don't have enough, we do worry about it. I totally get when David says most artists that truly have anything to offer other than commercialism struggle with doing our best when the bar is so low. So even though David is nasty in the tone he takes with me, I actually get what he's saying. Although I'm not quite sure why he's attacking me. I too am often disappointed in what music becomes popular and the taste of music in American culture. I wish that I could simply write the songs I'm inspired to write and that people would send me large sums of money for doing it. I wish that would happen. Maybe it will one day. I continue to work towards that. But until then, I'm going to do what I have to do to make a living now so that I can do things like eat, buy clothes, pay my rent, and enjoy my life now. That was the point of my last video. We don't have to struggle that hard and make such a big deal out of the struggle. We can use our skills now to make a good living and focus on the quote-unquote higher things, as David put it. I presented one formula, an example that I think applies to a broad range of musicians. Again, go watch the video if you haven't. It's too long to recap here, but most good musicians have skills they can market now. They can teach, they can perform, they can license their music, they can do session work, and if they utilize these skills effectively, they can make a good living now while they're pursuing their dreams. Which leads me to the last point of this video. What is success in music really? How do you define success as a musician? For me, it's very, very simple. My definition of being successful is when you make enough money from your music and your music-related skills to keep going. That's it. If you can make enough money now to keep recording music, paying your bills, eating food, and so on, then you get to keep doing it, and at least you're in the game. To me, that's the goal, and the more effectively you can do that, the better, and the more people you'll reach. I want to keep making music as long as I can, and to keep getting the opportunity to write more music, play more music, and reach more and more people with my music. For the vast majority of us to accomplish this goal and get to this level, we're going to have to compromise along the way. We might have to compromise about some of the gigs we play. We might have to compromise about doing things like teaching or other things along the way that aren't our first choice. We might have to compromise and sell some of our songs to TV shows we don't like. I know a little bit about this personally. We might even have to compromise about the style of music we write from time to time. To me, this isn't selling out. This is simply dealing with the reality we're confronted with, aka life. Selling out to me would be going and selling insurance or something. No offense to insurance salesmen out there. And playing guitar once a month at a barbecue or something like that. I didn't choose the world I was born into, but I chose my profession. I don't choose what music the public responds to, but I can choose how I present myself and my music to them in a way that will hopefully resonate and help me pay my bills. I thought I'd end this video a little differently and play one of my actual songs so you can hear what kind of music I'm inspired to write when left to my own devices. That way, if you want to attack me and my music, you can do it after having actually heard it. For me, this whole journey all started with my love of music and writing and playing music. I don't like the fact that I have to deal with the whole business side of things any more than anyone else. But over time, I've found it much more productive to embrace reality as opposed to running from it. As Sting said, we are spirits in a material world. Here's my song called Headed Home. If you like it, maybe you'll consider sending me some of your money. Please send donations of any amount, large or small, via PayPal to info@renegademusicmarketing.com. Thanks and have a great day.
It went away. I turned around, another day like falling rain and melting snow. Either way, the cold winds blow. I'm headed home. I found it and back again. I fell asleep and had a dream, and it turned into the rising sun. Thoughts remain, though came undone. I'm headed home. When innocence is not afraid to turn into something so strange, and more than once I lost my way, I'm still here, though fear remains. I'm headed home. Did you ever hear the one about a boy and a girl he dreamed about? Another day like falling rain and melting snow. And either way, the cold winds blow. I'm headed home. Either way.